You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
You know, if your professional life feels like you're just constantly trying to drink from a fire hose of information.
Oh, yeah. 100 new reports, a dozen new data studies landing in your inbox before you've even had coffee.
Exactly. You are absolutely in the right place. We know you need that shortcut, that critical path to find what actually matters.
And that's what we've done. We've taken that whole mountain of recent data on content, visibility, marketing, and we've tried to just distill it down to the signals that you need to act on, like, right now.
Welcome back to what we like to call Product Thursdays.
Oh.
Data here on The Vocal Technologist. Our mission today is pretty simple. We're pulling out the high-value insights because, frankly, the old ways of measuring things are failing.
They really are. And the entire digital world is basically restructuring itself for the machines.
The machines.
That's the core of it. We're looking at two huge shifts. First, how do we have to fundamentally change our content so that large language models can see it? They don't look at the web like Google used to.
Do it at all.
And second, we need a massive reality check on how we measure things. Because if you're still relying on those small A/B tests, you might be celebrating wins that just aren't real.
Okay, let's unpack that first one because I think it's the most shocking. The LLM consumption model. We've spent, what, 2 decades optimizing for keywords?
And readability, yeah.
But this data shows the AI models are playing a whole different ball game. The finding about content structure it's just astonishing.
It is. I mean, we're moving so far beyond just paragraphs and bullet points. There was a recent study that looked at how ChatGPT pulls its citations. And it found that content with a simple, well-formatted table structure was 2.3 times more likely to get cited.
Wait, 2.3 times just for having a table?
Just for that. That one structural element gives you a massive advantage.
That's not a small tweak. That fundamentally changes how you should be organizing information on a page.
It does. Let me give you the breakdown. 30% of the ChatGPT citations they looked at had a table. For the standard Google URLs they analyzed, only 13%. So the takeaway is pretty clear. That humble little HTML table is suddenly a top-tier asset for AI visibility.
So if you're building a knowledge base or writing content, it's not just about the words anymore. It's about simple, clean HTML. It's about logical tables. A structural problem is now a visibility problem. But why? Why do the machines care so much about a table?
Yeah, it goes right back to how LLMs are built. And this is where it gets a little technical, but it's super important.
Let's do it.
An LLM doesn't read a whole web page like we do. It gets these small little slices of the content. They're called context windows.
Right, it's not seeing the whole picture at once.
Exactly. And if the information inside that tiny window is just a big block of text, the AI, it can't really verify it or use it effectively.
So the table is almost like a pre-digested summary for the machine.
That's a perfect way to put it.
It forces the writer to be logical.
Yeah.
So when the AI scrapes that little slice, it immediately sees variable A, value B. It's not buried in prose.
Precisely. The structure is scannable, it's readable, and it's logical within that tiny slice. That's why product teams have to start shifting towards these really detailed how-to guides or spec pages where the data is in tables. You have to hand-feed them the facts, not just the story.
Okay, so if we need to be that precise with the structure, we have to talk about tracking it. Because your standard Google Analytics isn't going to tell you if this is working, is it?
No, you'd be totally blind. This is where tools like log file analyzers become they become essential again.
Log file analyzers. That feels like we're going back to 2005. I mean, that's a lot of infrastructure. Why can't a modern tag manager just handle that?
Because your tag manager is tracking the user's browser. The logs track the server.
Ah.
The AI bots, they're hitting your server directly. They often don't even run the JavaScript that your analytics tags rely on. So the logs, they tell you the whole story. They show you which bots are accessing what, and more importantly, what content they're just ignoring because it's too messy. It's the only way to really audit your strategy.
Wow. Okay, that measurement discussion is fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's a perfect pivot, because if we have to be that technical about structure for AI, we have to apply that same rigor to measuring effectiveness for humans. And the data we pulled on A/B testing is a huge warning sign.
We're talking about some healthy A/B testing skepticism here, and it's absolutely warranted. Most results you see from small, short tests, They're just not reliable.
The Yahoo study is the classic example, right?
It's the most shocking illustration of it. The initial tests predicted an 871% lift from display ads.
An 800% lift.
And when they finally ran properly controlled, statistically sound experiments, the true effect was 5.4%.
871 versus 5.4. That's not just an error. That is mistaking random chance for a real signal. I mean, how many teams are out there celebrating wins that are basically just hallucinations?
The downstream cost of that is catastrophic. It just proves you need real statistical rigor. To reliably detect even a modest 5% lift on a 5% conversion rate, you need more than 240,000 users in your test.
240,000.
So if a team comes to you with some huge double-digit lift from a tiny test group, history shows it's probably just luck, and it will disappear as soon as you try to replicate it.
So extreme results need extreme evidence. But what's interesting is that the opposite is also true. Small, consistent gains from technical performance are super reliable.
For sure. Because performance gains directly reduce user friction. There's this great A/B test from the delivery app Talabat. They didn't just focus on page load, they focused on timed interactive.
TTI. That's the key, isn't it? It's not when it looks pretty, it's when the buttons actually work.
Exactly. They dropped their TTI from 2.1 seconds down to 1 second, a 58% drop in the time people had to wait to actually use the app.
And the business impact of that little bit of frustration removal.
It was small, but it was real and measurable. A 0.36% increase in revenue per user and a 0.34% rise in orders per user. Small, consistent technical wins add up.
That makes perfect sense for transactions. But what about B2B? Long sales cycles, complex decisions. Just being fast isn't enough. This is where we need to talk about that metric that so often goes untracked, Mindshare.
Oh, Mindshare is everything in B2B. The data on this is overwhelming. Get this. 94% of business buyers, they end up purchasing from the brand they thought of first.
94%. So the decision is basically made before they even start their research.
Long before the first sales call. It's about familiarity. It creates confidence and it reduces the perceived risk. If they've never heard of you, you're starting from a huge disadvantage. You're fighting unfamiliarity from day one.
So we're really saying that people often pick the most familiar option, even if it's not, technically the best one. It's about being top of mind when the problem first appears.
That's the whole game. And we have a great example from a SaaS company. They deliberately shifted their focus from lead gen to just pure visibility.
How'd they do it?
Executive content on LinkedIn, high-value reports, getting placed in industry publications. They weren't optimizing for clicks, they were optimizing for presence.
And the result?
A 38% rise in branded search. That's proof that Mindshare is working. And a 19% reduction in their sales cycle length.
19%. Because that trust is already built before the conversation even starts.
The trust hurdle has been cleared.
Okay, let's connect that idea of trust back to the human element. Because you can't succeed today with just the technical stuff. You need the psychology. And the digital world is completely changing how we even define authenticity.
It is the old social media model where having 1 million followers meant you had reach. That's officially dead.
It's all about the recommendation engine now.
Entirely. And what's fascinating is how the signals have flipped. A huge follower count can now signal bots, or that you paid for it, it can feel inauthentic. Whereas a smaller but super engaged account,
It feels more real, more genuine, like you found a hidden gem.
it suggests real interest, not just performance for an algorithm. So brands really have 2 ways to play this now. You can go high volume.
Just flood the feed.
Yeah, dozens of clips a day, just playing the odds that the algorithm picks one up. Or you can do episodic storytelling. You build a narrative, like a TV show, so people follow you to see what happens next, not just for one viral clip.
And that need for authenticity, it's hitting B2B purchasing too. It's not just about features and price anymore.
Absolutely not. The personal factors are climbing fast. The latest data shows that things like trust and shared values now influence 42% of B2B decisions.
42%.
That's up 10% just since 2021. And it's creating this empathy gap. People want brands to show real empathy, but so many companies are failing at it, especially as AI starts handling more customer interactions and that human touch vanishes.
And if trust and personality are that important, we have to talk about how we communicate.
Yeah.
This last data point we have on sales tone is It's incredibly specific.
It's so nuanced. It's not just what you say, it's the precise vocal tone you use. The analysis makes this sharp distinction between new customers and returning ones.
Okay.
If you're talking to a new customer, someone who is already feeling a bit of risk, they respond best to a loud, energetic voice. It signals confidence. It can raise their purchase likelihood by up to 8%.
8% just from being energetic. But for a returning customer, someone who already trusts you, that's not what they want, is it?
Completely different. You need to signal competence and stability, not just hype. A returning customer responds best to a loud but calm tone.
Loud but calm.
That raises their purchase likelihood by over 5%. And get this, if you use that same high-energy voice that worked on the new customer, it actually reduces the chance of a sale by 3% with a returning one.
Wow. So you have to match your delivery to their trust level. The precision matters down to the decibel.
Down to the temperament.
That is just, it's an incredible level of detail. And it brings us to a brand that seems to get this bridge between data and human behavior. Chipotle.
Chipotle is a masterclass in this. They use their core positioning real ingredients to justify these really creative, unconventional campaigns in spaces where their audience already lives. They test ideas in small, relevant communities first.
So they're not just throwing things at the wall randomly.
No. For example, they tied a temporary tattoo offer to a very specific internet trend that was blowing up with their core demographic.
Temporary tattoos for burritos. It sounds absurd on paper.
It does, but the result was over 9 billion PR impressions and record sales during off-peak hours. They saw real cultural momentum in a small group, and then they just hit the accelerator. It proves you can get massive reach by being authentic and relevant, even if the tactic is a little weird.
So as we wrap this up, let's just boil it down for everyone listening. The key takeaways today. It really feels like a duality.
It is.
First, you have to structure your digital content with extreme technical precision for the AI. That means, seriously, use tables.
Yes. And second, apply that same rigor to your measurement. Acknowledge the limits of small tests and focus on those reliable technical wins like time to interactive.
And then on the other side of that coin, it's a complete focus on brand mindshare and the non-digital stuff. Trust, empathy, even the tone of your voice.
That's the future of this. It's a dual strategy. You need that extreme technical precision, clean data structures, fast load times, but you have to couple it with profound human insight, prioritizing authenticity over raw lead volume.
That combination of technical rigor and human understanding, that's the real differentiator.
Yeah.
But let me leave you with one final thought to chew on, based on some other data we've been tracking.
Okay.
If buy now, pay later usage has shot past 91 million users in the U.S., and 42% of late payments are basically invisible to credit bureaus. And a quarter of that spending is on essentials, like groceries. Does the data we normally track, like conversion rates or short-term LTV, does it really capture the financial instability this is creating for our customers?
That's a deep question.
Or are we just measuring our own growth at the expense of our users' long-term financial health? It's a crucial question about the ethics of growth that goes way beyond marketing metrics. Something for you to think about.
Always something more to explore beneath the surface.
We'll be back soon for another exploration of the data. Thanks for tuning in.
Spoken Tech for your ears.